In a city in Korea, a very tall building is burning down. Suddenly firefighter Kim jumps off while carefully carrying a young child in his arms. The rope leaves them hanging for a few seconds until it burns and they fall. Thankfully there already is an air mattress to catch them safely. They bounce on it and fall on the street, so Kim makes sure to let his body fall first to protect the child. He hits his head and sees his life flash before his eyes. The child then runs towards her parents and Kim goes after her to ask her a few routine questions, but the family ignores him. Suddenly a voice calls out his name and he turns around to see Lee and Hae waiting for him. These people are the guardians of the afterlife and inform him he died when he fell. As Kim notices his co-workers crying over his dead body, Lee explains the duo is here to defend him through 7 trials over 49 days and that he's a paragon, which is very uncommon. Kim refuses to accept he is dead because he is worried about his deaf and mute mother, but a portal appears and sucks his soul in. Meanwhile guardian Gangrim shows up at Kim's funeral, where the mother keeps staring at Kim's picture. Her other son Suhong tries to get her to leave since they will move the casket soon, but she doesn't react. At the gate of the afterlife, Hae shows Kim the statue of Yomra, the king of the afterlife and final judge. Then Gangrim joins them, revealing he's the team's boss and that he's reincarnated 47 souls in the past century. He calls Kim a paragon and Kim says he isn't one, but everyone still makes way for him. When Lee puts Kim's death ticket into the gate machine, it's confirmed that Kim is an honorable paragon, which hasn't happened in 19 years. He's received this title because he died a noble death to save another person and this means his chances for reincarnation are very high. The group has to go through the 7 levels of hell during 49 days and if Kim passes all the levels, he gets to reincarnate. The levels are in a different order for each person, which is decided by the king according to the severity of the soul's sins. As the group crosses a bridge, Hae freaks out because he recognizes the volcano of the murder hell. This trial looks at the deaths caused by the judge's soul, even if it was indirectly. Lee looks into Kim's history and discovers he failed to save a co-worker during a fire. Suddenly the ground opens and Kim finds himself on top of a pillar surrounded by lava. Souls are trying to climb up and Kim wants to help them, but he drops them when he's yelled at by the god of murder hell. The prosecutors read the case, explaining that Kim left a doomed colleague behind. If it hadn't been for his hesitation and craving for safety, he would have moved faster and saved the other firefighter, however the building exploded first. Indirect murder is usually punished with 50 years but since Kim is a paragon, he'd get 5. Gangrim immediately comes to Kim's defense by asking him for his co-worker's last words. Kim remembers trying to help his friend, but the guy told him to help the injured civilians first because it had become easier to control the fire. Then Gangrim points out that Kim saved 8 people that day and appeared on the news as a hero, which he couldn't have done if he'd stayed with his co-worker. Thanks to this, the god of murder hell decides Kim is innocent. Afterward the group gets on a ship to cross a river and reach Indolence Hell, where he'll have to prove he lived his life to the fullest. While they travel Kim says he doesn't want to be reincarnated and wonders why they do this. Lee explains that if they help reincarnate 49 souls in a century, then they get to reincarnate as well. For normal souls it's very hard to pass all the trials, so the team got lucky to get a paragon for their potential 48th. Suddenly some very creepy monsters jump out of the water to try to attack the ship, but Hae quickly sends them back by hitting them with his swords while explaining these creatures like capturing souls. They can detect new souls by looking into their eyes. Before they arrive, Gangrim tells Kim to never talk back to the goddess of indolence. The indolence trial is at a huge waterfall. Lee offers a beautiful speech, saying that Kim was never lazy. Kim's life plays on the waterfall, showing all kinds of shenanigans like having to deal with a beehive, rescuing animals during a flood, and saving a cat on the edge of a building although he fell in the process. The goddess is impressed and asks what inspired him to help so many people, so Kim ruins the moment by saying it was for money. With great disappointment, the goddess activates a mechanism that will push Kim down the waterfall where souls are eaten by the river monsters or crushed by huge pillars on an island. Hae and Gangrim jump in the water to hold the platform while Gangrim adds more details about Kim's life. He was extremely poor so he also had to do lots of part-time jobs on his days off, like delivering vegetables and cleaning. Kim never had a day off in his entire adult life because he needed the money to pay for the treatments needed by his sick mother and his brother's law school. Understanding that Kim was never selfish, the goddess finds Kim not guilty. Next the group has to cross the Blade Forest to reach Deceit Hell, which judges the lies the soul said in his life. The leaves are made of blades so they aren't supposed to touch anything, but Gangrim suddenly pushes Kim against a tree and the blade branches immediately capture him. Kim yells in pain as the blades cut him while Gangrim scolds him for talking back to the goddess, which he told him not to do. Then Hae uses his swords to free Kim while also asking him to behave. He reveals that if things go extremely well, Kim may appear in the dream of a loved one to say goodbye before being reincarnated. The idea of seeing his mother again makes Kim take this more seriously. Since Kim is a paragon, the group gets to do the last part of the journey on a boat that crosses the forest at great speed. The guardians notice vengeful ghouls on the trees and ask Kim if he has other relatives besides his mom. The ghouls are getting closer, so Hae and Gangrim take out their blades and begin bringing them down while explaining that a family member has become a vengeful spirit. Gang Rim cuts off a monster's head, which lands on the boat before another ghoul jumps in. As they fight it off, Gang Rim falls into the water and has to hold on to the edge of the boat to stay with his team. Hei manages to kill all the ghouls that attack next, giving Gang Rim time to climb back on the boat. Then Hei throws a blade at the ghoul that almost captures Kim before hitting the side of the mountain, accusing an avalanche that blocks the stream behind them. Many ghouls get crushed and the others can't follow them anymore. Now Hei can conclude that either Kim's brother or his mother has died with a grudge and they're roaming the living world. When they reach land, Kim gets blindfolded. Gang Rim announces he's taking a detour and tells the other guardians to delay the trial if necessary. Afterward, Gang Rim goes to the living world and uses his powers to teleport into a government office. He searches the memories of this place and watches Suhong with his mom receiving a box with Kim's personal items. The mother grabs an old plant from the box and Suhong scolds her, saying she should throw it out because it's dead, but she refuses. Next, Gang Rim teleports to the family's apartment and touches the plant to see its memories. He discovers that Suhong is angry because Kim has abandoned their mother. To Gang Rim's shock, the mother can see him, which means she's close to dying. He uses sign language to pretend to be a person rescued by Kim who came to offer his condolences. After the mother hugs him, he asks her for a moment alone to say goodbye. Now Gang Rim can use his blade to summon the ghoul, who turns out to be Suhong. Gang Rim starts chasing him through the neighborhood, noticing how the ghoul leaves a trail of frost behind him. Attacking him with his blade doesn't work, and Suhong manages to escape. In the afterlife, Kim gets tired of the blindfold and takes it off, causing more ghouls to appear. However, the creatures are quickly killed by two huge guards that arrive with King Yomra, who wants to know why Kim has brought ghouls to his land. Hei explains that Gang Rim is already investigating and will eliminate the ghoul's soul to bring peace. Still thinking it was his mother who died, Kim runs to Yomra and asks him to protect her. Hei has to pull Kim back and Lee apologizes to the king, who says that if Gang Rim doesn't finish his job soon he'll go to the living world himself. In the living world, Gang Rim visits an army base and hears soldiers talking about Suhong deserting because of his brother, as if they didn't know he was dead. Flashbacks show that Suhong was a good friend to his team and an excellent soldier. Gang Rim pretends to be a higher up and interrogates Lieutenant Park, who claims not to know where Suhong is. Back to the afterlife, the Guardians can't buy time anymore and Kim must go through the deceit trial. Memories show that Kim wrote 98 letters to the daughter of the man he failed to save, pretending to be her dad so she wouldn't suffer at such a young age. However, she discovered the letters were fake and felt utter despair. Kim doesn't know what to say, so the goddess of deceit Hel captures him with vines and threatens to cut his tongue. Hei telepathically asks his boss for help, so Gang Rim tells Park that he knows Suhong is dead before leaving the office. Then he links his mind to Lee's to speak through her and explain that Kim also wrote fake letters to his mother, pretending he had a great life with a wife and kid instead of being a low worker every day of the week. He did this so his mother wouldn't give up fighting her illness, and it worked because now she lives a normal life. The letters also encouraged the girl to stay strong during her grief and helped her move on because she felt someone was watching over her. The goddess realizes Kim is a paragon, who usually passed through her hell without a trial, but today the prosecutors lied. She announces Kim is innocent and the group leaves. On their way out, Kim explains that he's desperate to see his mother to tell her about the rice cooker he bought as a surprise and didn't get to give her. It's very important because her bad memory has caused her to burn dozens of pots, yet she never stopped cooking for their sons. Lee knows that he hid a letter inside the cooker, but this one had the truth. At that moment a portal opens and Gang Rim appears to tell Kim that both his mother and brother are fine. After Kim walks away, Gang Rim tells the Guardians the truth and promises to take care of it. Afterward, Gang Rim visits another military base to find the right memory. He watches how new Soldier 1 doesn't handle his rifle well and accidentally shoots Suhong, who tells him to call Park for help and not let anyone else find out. By the time Park arrives, Suhong is already dead, so Park takes the killing bullet before announcing they'll bury the body and clean up to hide what happened. Watching the body twitch causes Gang Rim to remember his past as a warrior and seeing his father die in the battlefield. When he returns to town, Gang Rim watches the soldiers tell Suhong's mother that her son is missing, which makes him remember his own mother crying over his father's body. In the afterlife, the group is crossing the very cold injustice hell, which judges those who are unjust. Kim was always an eager helper, so he gets to pass without trial. However, because of the ghoul effects, suddenly the icebergs start crumbling behind them and the trio has to run to get in the cable car. It shakes a few seconds, but they manage to escape. During the trip, Lee tells Kim that the souls in the ice are cold-hearted people who didn't help those in need. She also reveals that Guardians don't have memories from their time alive unless they're high-ranked like Gang Rim. While they chat about memories, Hei accidentally tells Kim that his brother died. When Gang Rim begins digging out Suhong's body, the car shakes again and a cable breaks. Lee almost falls off, but Hei catches her just in time, only for him to start slipping out too. Kim immediately uses the broken cable to climb down and rescue the Guardians, announcing he finally wants to reincarnate just to be with his mother because she's alone now. Then Hei appears next to Gang Rim and scolds him for digging out the body instead of destroying it, which is messing up the mortal world. Gang Rim says the mother deserves the truth and a funeral to say goodbye. Citing the afterlife rules, Hei begins attacking Gang Rim with his blade, but Gang Rim easily blocks all the moves and sends Hei back. Meanwhile, Park is trying to convince one to take a vacation before the higher-ups interrogate him, and the ghoul can be seen haunting them. Later, Gang Rim follows one to a club, where he sees the ghoul shaking on the disco ball above one. Before it could fall, Gang Rim chases Su-hong out of the club and opens a portal to push him through it. Then the duo appears floating in the air, and after some struggle, Su-hong pushes Gang Rim off to jump on a tower. Gang Rim uses another portal to go higher and activates his blade to capture the ghoul by tying him around the building. When Gang Rim mentions the grudge, Su-hong reveals he isn't angry at his brother, he's angry because he was buried alive. Gang Rim remembers how his own father had been alive too but died under a pile of bodies. Then Su-hong messes with the tower's electricity and causes the whole city to lose power. Meanwhile, one visits Park saying he wants to confess, but Park forbids it because it would cost him his position. In the afterlife, the group is crossing the heavenly passage on their way to betrayal hell. Here, souls that betrayed faith are locked in mirrors and get destroyed. The betrayal goddess only forgives the beautiful kind of betrayal, like a selfless or righteous one, which means a righteous man like Kim gets a free pass on this level too. When they reach an open field, Gang Rim comes back and explains Su-hong had forgotten about his brother because Kim didn't visit his family again after finishing high school, he only sent them the money. While Kim begs Gang Rim not to destroy his brother's soul, one leaves a map for Kim's mother with the location of the body. The group eventually makes it to the entrance of the violence hell, known as the vacuum sinkhole. Its depth depends on the soul's crimes. Since Kim is a paragon, this shouldn't be too deep, so Hei pushes him in before the guardians follow him. In the living world, Gang Rim finds one in the middle of self-deleting. Su-hong also sees it and asks Gang Rim to save him, promising to do whatever he asks in return. Hoping to help Kim, Gang Rim cuts the rope to save one. However, interfering with the living world causes Kim to fall very fast on a big rock, which tilts and makes him fall again. Kim catches a falling Lee, ready to use his body as a shield again. Then Su-hong makes Gang Rim tell one that he didn't do anything wrong and he shouldn't cry over the past anymore. As one finds peace, the falling stops in the sinkhole and the team is safe. Afterward, Kim is put on trial and it's revealed that when he was a teenager, he beat a malnourished Su-hong up while their mother was asleep and never apologized for it. In fact, it was after this fight that Kim ran away to never return. The god of violence finds him guilty and the floor crumbles under Kim, showing thousands of souls in despair. Hei opens a portal to talk to Gang Rim, who is currently digging out Su-hong's body. Gang Rim tells them to request a combined trial, so Lee does just that. This means that if Kim is found guilty at the next trial, he'll receive a double punishment and his guardians will be stripped of their privileges. The god agrees to the deal, so now the team has to walk through the eternal desert to reach the filial impiety hell. Meanwhile, Gang Rim destroys Su-hong's body so he isn't a ghoul anymore, but his soul must visit his home 3 times before M. While they walk, Su-hong explains that the fight they saw in the trial started because he woke up and found Kim about to put a pillow on their mom's face. At the same time, Lee sees this memory and asks Kim if he tried to kill his mother. Kim reveals he wanted to kill his whole family because they had no hope, he even had sedatives ready to self-delete. However, he couldn't do it, so he ran away to protect his family and live the rest of his life making money to make up for it. At the military base, Kim's mother shows up with a sign that says, "Please find my son." The guards try to stop her, but the lady runs through the gates to confront Park, who throws away the sign. When he tries to kick her out, she takes out the map. At the same time, monsters appear around the team and Hei has to fight them alone, using his blades as much as possible. Park yells that Su-hong is a deserter and pushes the woman, who collapses and is taken away in an ambulance. Seeing all this causes a furious Su-hong to become a ghoul again. He pushes Gang Rim with such force that he sends out a shockwave, which brings all the soldiers down at the base and creates a sandstorm in the afterlife. Then Su-hong transforms into a raging tornado and grows huge in size as he starts destroying the base with lightning and fireballs. Gang Rim teleports all over the area to save every single soldier except for Park, who runs to reach a truck. He tries to drive off, but the tornado picks the truck up. Su-hong hits it to destroy it. Park falls off, so Gang Rim jumps to catch him, only to be pushed off by the incoming truck. Lightning strikes Park and knocks him out so Su-hong can capture him. A desperate Gang Rim calls for Hei, who suddenly appears and jumps into the middle of the tornado to rescue Park. In the afterlife, Kim pushes Lee aside because he's starting to sink into quicksand. When Su-hong is about to attack Gang Rim and Park, he hears Lee's desperate cries through Hei's portal and freezes when he sees his brother fully sinking. This distraction allows Gang Rim to hit Su-hong with his blade, transforming him back into a normal soul. Back to the desert, rock structures emerge from the ground and Kim is safely released from the quicksand. The death god is also King Yomra, who immediately pronounces Kim guilty of trying to kill his mom. When Lee tries to defend Kim, Yomra reveals that on that night, the mother had only pretended to be asleep. She wanted her kids to have a normal life without having to take care of her, so she would have let her son do the killing. Kim is devastated to hear this and falls to his knees as he agrees he deserves punishment. As the prosecutors begin to read the sentence, the desert begins crumbling and they hear a voice say, "Mom." It turns out Suhong saw all this through the portal and asked Gangrim to let him visit his mother in her dreams. Suhong shows her his new fancy robes and explains he's become a prosecutor in heaven, so he can't visit her anymore. He cries as he describes how Kim worked all his life for them and asks her to forgive his brother, but he freezes when he hears his mother talk. She says her sons did nothing wrong and it was all her fault for failing as a mother, so she apologizes before hugging him. Watching all this makes Kim have a breakdown. Yomra explains that a sin that was forgiven in the living world can't be judged in the afterlife, which means Kim is innocent and granted reincarnation. As Kim is reached by a beam of light, he thanks Lee before disappearing. In the living world, Gangrim asks Hei to guide Suhong to the afterlife because he's become a paragon too. When Hei begins protesting about a former ghoul becoming a paragon, Gangrim realizes that the Hei that tried to stop him before had been Yomra in disguise. Later at the hospital, Gangrim leaves a package for Kim's mother. It's the rice cooker and Kim's final letter admitting the truth. However, the lady loves it, and the old plant starts to bloom. In the afterlife, Gangrim tells his team that Suhong will be their 49th reincarnation. Then he and Hei get ready to fight all the guards in the desert to get a meeting with the king. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.